Oh, here we are. Sunday, April 30th, 2023. I'm Larissa, and this is my video diary. Yeah, I'm smoking a joint. No, I don't smoke joints very often. I don't. I prefer my tea. But I'm out. I'm out of tea this morning. I'm having cramps, so I have some flour down there. I need to blend it, but see, it takes some time, and I didn't do it yesterday because I forgot. He told me yesterday that I was out and that I needed to blend more tea, and it's on the counter. The flour's on the counter, but I didn't. I forgot. And I went to bed early, so I'm smoking a joint this morning, and I'll have to blend my tea. So what do I have down there? Herb wise, probably mint and chamomile and Hoya Santa and some borage flower. And I think I'm out of hibiscus, which bums me out because I really like hibiscus in it, but I think I'm out of hibiscus right now. So I'll have to look and see. I might put some, I have some basil down there. I might put some basil and there's some tulsi. That might be what I do. It might be a tulsi tea. It might be a tulsi cannabis tea, but definitely mint and chamomile and Hoya Santa. Yeah. The Hoya Santa is also an analgesic, so it's helpful. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I have read that Hoya Santa is who's got out. Hoya Santa is supposed to be hallucinogenic in large amounts. So like it gets processed, it can be processed and it's used in ceremonial traditions. It's tastes like root beer, it smells like root beer. It's also used in cooking beans. It's paired with epazote. But that's why I have it. But it's supposed to be in large quantities, hallucinogenic, used for shamanic traditions. Um, I've never. You must have to have a lot of it. A lot. You must have a lot of the leaves because I've not experienced that, and I've had fresh leaves as well. So I did have that experience. So I didn't. Makes your tongue tingle though, and I've used it. I've used it in making topical applications, and it does have like a topically numbing kind of effect. So that's what an analgesic is. It's a topical. It's a topical like numbs you topically. So yeah, it's nice. It tastes nice. Yeah, I think that's all I need. Yeah, I don't know. I want it to go out, and I want to blow the stale smoke out of it so that I can light it again later. That's why I don't like. That's why I don't like smoking a joint because I can't smoke a whole joint myself. And I don't like relighting them. It's like they taste funky after you relight them. Yeah. So I prefer my tea. But smoking is like the fastest delivery. Drinking my tea, I don't feel stoned. Smoking, I feel stoned. I feel a little stoned now. I feel stoned. I feel high. I'm not particularly a fan of that feeling. I'm not. Makes me feel dippy. I don't like feeling dippy. Dippy like eggs. Dippy eggs, dippy eggs. I got this little skillet to use on my little burners at the gallery when I make myself breakfast or lunch or whatever. Right? Have a little saucepan, and I have a little skillet, a little omelet skillet. Oh my god, it's a nice skillet. It's got a little lid. Makes the best eggs. Make better eggs there than I do at home now. It My Dippy eggs, perfect Dippy eggs. Put the lid on, and it just seals off the top of the egg without like making the yolk hard at all. So all the egg white gets cooked. There's no snotty snots, and then the yolk is nice and dippy. Dip, 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 dip. You squish it on your English muffin sandwich, and the yolk oozes out the side. Then you gotta use a knife and fork, otherwise you got yolk all over your face and hand. Yeah, see, I don't like being stoned because I feel dippy. No, no laughing matter. How am I supposed to talk about serious shit now? How? How am I supposed to talk about serious shit? Seeing some serious shit. Yeah. Ugh. There was a serious news story I wanted to talk about. I was thinking about it. I was like, oh my God. This morning, now I can't remember what the hell it was. All I can think about are Dippy eggs. Oh my God. Oh my God. Yeah. Had a couple weird dreams. I had a weird dream last night, and it's kind of vague. Not because I'm stoned, but because I woke up and it was real fresh when immediately when I woke up, but it like dissipated real fast, right? And now there's just like images of place, and it was a really intense, and there was a lot of conversation in this dream last night. It was a really interesting dream. And the night before, I had a weird dream. I was somewhere in Africa, and I don't know where, but I was in a mud hut, like warehouse. Like it was a long structure, but it was made out of this real slick hard red dirt. You know, like the women that put the red dirt, the red mud in their hair. I didn't see any of those women in this dream, but there was that dirt. It was that red dirt, and um, there were lots of little boy children and men, and very, very, very dark skinned African men, inside of this building. And there was like all this stuff being made, assembled, right? There was like all this stuff. There were like all these parts that snapped together, and um, there were like tables and groupings set up. You know, people sitting in circles, and there were big lights, shop lights. You know, like the big square ones, not the ones with the cones, but the big square ones, the kind that you put out at night to work at night. But it was in this like the building was this red mud, and the ceiling was corrugated. The ceiling was corrugated, and parts of it were partitioned off with like short red dirt walls, and it was really really hard, right? It wasn't quite terracotta because I was like touching it. It was and the dirt, it was soft to the touch, right? um and somewhat scratchable with your fingernail, but it was really hard, really high iron content in the dirt, really high iron content. And I was standing by one of the entrances. There were like three different places where doors, and you could see light coming in from the outside. And I was standing near one of them, and this little boy comes in, and he says, Larissa, Larissa, you need to come with me now. I'm like, why? He's like, they're scraping them out of the boats. I'm like, what? And then you got out, there was like next to this river, and there were all these like canoes, and there were these bodies in it. And they kept telling me that my cousin and my father were in one of the boats. But I'm like, how do you know it's them? He's like, because there's passports. I said, you don't know it's them. You just know somebody had their passports. And all of these people, they're like, he's down there. I'm like, no, none of these people were any of my family members. But there were all these people laying supine on their backs in these canoes. And some of them had just had one body, and some of them had two, right? And they were pulling these people out. Some of these people were decomposed to the point, like, you could still see that they were people, but when they picked them up, their bodies like fell apart, right? Like in half from the weight. It was really bizarre. And it was just all these people on this river in these canoes, and they're pulling these bodies up. And the guys that were doing it were like, they were being super like gentle. I remember thinking like, you think they'd just pick them up and toss them, but they were trying to pick them up like in a gentle manner. It was so bizarre. And there were only like a couple trees around, and it was just this like canal of water cutting through this red fine dirt that was just this really slick mud, and everybody was barefoot in this mud, and there were like no rocks or bugs or anything. It was just like this mud everywhere, and it made like a suction noise when you walked through it. Really weird dream. Really weird dream. And I never saw any of my family members. I kept looking and I'm like, are you serious? Like, none of these people. I'm not related to any of these people. The people in the boats were all different nationalities or colors. It wasn't just African people that they were pulling out of these boats, or African looking people. You know what I mean? Like, there were people of all different appearances. It was a bizarre, but everybody that was working in the warehouse was very dark complected. It was strange. It was a weird dream. I don't know where I was in Africa. I don't know where I was in Africa in that dream, but I was in Africa. The languages people were speaking. And there was more than one language being spoken. It was like 3 languages being spoken. And the people were kind of grouped together in the groups that they spoke those languages, but they were all African languages. Strange. It was strange. Oh, and outside, some people were speaking French. This is the dream I had. Not last night, the night before. The dream I had last night. It was not in the same place at all, but it had a similar kind of tone to it. But there was nobody in my family, from my family in this dream. There were people. I was looking for somebody. This is the feeling. I can't remember. I remember looking for somebody and seeing people that looked like that person from a distance, and then getting up to them and being like, hey, and having them turn to look up at me, and then seeing that it's not them. And it wasn't, it was a friend. It was, oh, I can't remember. But yeah, the dream from the night before was really weird. I don't know. Maybe somebody in my family died. Although usually death means that there's going to be a birth. So maybe one of my sisters is pregnant. Maybe one of my sisters is pregnant. Hey, Brody. Hey, Brody, does mommy need to do lots of laundry today? Because there's lots of laundry that needs to be done. Yeah. Plus there's all those towels downstairs. Did Daddy turn on the dryer for mommy yesterday again like I asked him to? Did he? Am I going to have to wash the towels again? Are they going to be all musty? Yes, that's the laundry. Is the laundry stinky? Oh, does that dress smell like the doggies that rubbed on me? The doggies I met yesterday? Do you smell the doggies? Yeah, he's smelling the dress that I wore yesterday. So it was hot and I sweat in the dress, but he doesn't usually smell my sweaty laundry. He usually smells like, if there's been a day when I've had many dogs jump on me, rub on me, love on me. Oh, I love the dogs, and dogs love me, and dogs love Reiki. And there's a few dogs in particular who really like coming in the place and always stop and just, so dogs love Reiki. But whenever they jump on me and slobber on me and stuff, Brody then sniffs my dress or whatever I was wearing. My dress right on top there. Yeah. I love dogs. I do. I don't like being stoned. No, I don't. This feels totally unnatural. I don't like being stoned at all. But I have to say, I don't have any cramps right now. I am bleeding though, and I can feel it. And I do have cramps. I just can't feel them. The cannabinol in the mixture, in the synthesis of the spectrum of the plant, right? It doesn't stop the cramps. Like, it hasn't like made my uterus stop going. squeeze, right? It hasn't stopped that. It just has stopped the receptor where I could feel it. And it's making me dippy. And I much prefer to just have the pain go away. And that's the tea that I do. The tea that I do does that. Right? Well, maybe people would prefer me if I was dippy all the time. Hey, Dippy Larissa. Hey, you dippy broad. Hey, Dippy Larissa. Yeah, I bet you people would like me better if I were stoned all the time. Much sillier. No, I can't. I don't like driving. I can't drive right now. Not everybody feels dippy. It affects everyone differently. You have to be responsible about it, and different ways of consuming it makes different people. And I'm sure, sure you could study exactly why genetically some people respond one way and other people just respond another way, right? I'm sure you could, but why? Just figure it out for yourself. Just figure it out for yourself. Yeah, that's what I did. So that's how I know. That's how I know. There's a couple strains in particular I like. And I like them prepared a certain way for my needs. You can make a tea stronger, right? The thing I use to activate the compounds in the tea is the heat from the water itself and honey, sugar. It's a honey. I use honey, I don't use sugar. I use honey, natural honey. I particularly, specifically, I use Manuka honey, right? But you could use any honey. But you can get a stronger effect from the tea if you brew it in milk, right? Or if you mix in a fat like either ghee or coconut oil. I don't like drinking oil. That's all, right? You don't cook the oil, but you make the tea and you mix through the oil. And some people like that, but I don't. I don't like the way. I don't like it. I don't like drinking liquid fat. I don't like it. Yeah. So if you brew it like a chai in milk, it's stronger. Gets me a little more to the dippy. Although I don't feel dippy. I feel spacey. Makes me feel spacey. But it also makes the analgesic property stronger. Yeah. Yeah. And it lasts longer because it takes longer with the protein, milk protein, for it to metabolize through your system. Yeah. Oh, where I got this book when we were first got involved in the movement, because yeah, we were politically active. We were politically active in the cannabis movement, and I've pulled away from really following any of the politics because I was never a recreational use proponent. I was a medicinal use proponent, and it's hard because like a substance like that, something that grows so easily, right? But they did it with poppies, right? Although opium is a totally different thing. And there's illicit use and there's medicinal use of opiates, and I can't take opiates, but yeah, I was always a medicinal proponent. Mm. Oh, the political movement. Yeah. Anyway, I was talking about the book. See, I'm dippy. There was a number of books, but there was one book in particular. It was a horticultural textbook on cannabis. And it was very, very, very interesting. It's a very comprehensive little book. It's spiral bound. Anybody who grows or um, is interested in in knows the book I'm talking about. It has a little white cover, and it has it looks like I think it's blue and green. It has some pictures on the front. It has a lot of diagrams in it. It's not a big book. It's like a pocketbook kind of thing, but it's kind of thick. It's like the grower's Bible or grower's guide or something. Um, we don't grow, but I want we're nerdy, and um, I read the book. It's really interesting. Yeah. Yeah, I don't like smoking joints. I don't like smoking joints. But it was necessary this morning. Now I can get down the stairs. Hey, hopefully I don't fall down the stairs. Get down the stairs and I can make my tea so I don't have to smoke a joint tomorrow morning. Dippy Larissa. Yeah. Oh, that felt good. I'm looking forward to my cycle being done so I can do some yoga. I really need to do some yoga. It's funny, people come in the gallery like, is this a yoga studio? I'm like, no. It's my art studio. I said, and I do yoga. I said, I've been practicing yoga for 25 years. Because I have. Isn't that wild? When I think about it. I've been practicing yoga for 25 years. Yeah, 25 years. 25 years of BKS Iyengar keeping me walking. Thank you, Mr. Iyengar. Now, I acknowledge that there's way more to Iyengar practice than just the physiology of the asana. I understand that. I've read his work. And I am not a devotee of Mr. Iyengar. I respect his perspective, and I found value in reading it. I did. Yeah. Light on life and light on yoga? Yeah. Mr. Iyengar was a very thoughtful person. He really was. And his views on life were pretty much in line with, what you hear out of morally out of any spiritual or religious group. Oh, I remember what it was now. I read a story. People protesting in Boston over some convention, a Satan convention that's been going on for 10 years by the Satanist organization. I just like, okay, I don't want to know. And I'll expand on what I mean by that. Like, I believe in freedom of religion. And I believe in right of conscience. Do I want to go join a group that has Satan in the name? No, not particularly. That's not something I want to be associated with. Would I protest it? No, I would not. Because the images that I see and what the statements that have been released by the group is that they don't worship Satan. And the stuff that they but I it looks like a lot of pageantry to me. And the images that I see of the costuming and stuff isn't scary. It's kind of cheeky, and not unlike most of the pagan imagery I've seen. And not all pagan groups are dark leaning, right? It's not something I want to be involved in. But are they really hurting anybody by dressing up and getting together and having a party? Because that's what a convention is, right? It's a big party. They're having a big costume party, is what they're having. So I don't think I would waste my time going to protest, particularly when evil can be found everywhere, right? Some guy in a goat head mask and furry chaps and leggings and hoof boots. That sounds like a costume to me. Bombs being dropped and children dying and homes being destroyed and threats of nuclear war. That sounds way more evil to me than a guy in a costume. And the story was it's a bunch of Catholics were there. It was some Catholic group and some group that's considered a white nationalist group called Patriot Front. And it said, the article also said that the church, the diocese from the area or whatever, had said that they were not affiliated with the protest, that their recommendation had been, when people brought concern in the church, had been to not give them any energy and not to worry about it. Right? Oh my God. People are always looking for evil. Evil. Yeah. Well, that was that brought my dippiness down. Yeah, that's what it was. That was what I wanted to talk about. It was that article. That story. Practices that are considered occult. There is occult practices. The word occult means to be hidden. And there are occult practices associated with every major religion. Sometimes they dress it up and they call it mystic. Mystic. It's a cult. It's all a cult. Mysticism is all a cult. It's hidden. It's not general knowledge. It's esoteric. Right? The taboo. Right? Of things. Yeah. I've studied a lot of it. What I mean by studied, I've read a lot of books. I've talked to a lot of people. I've been to some events. Oh. Oh, yes. No. Oh, yes. I've performed space groundings. You know, I've done groundings, and there are definitely prayers and things that you can say, ritual that you can perform to address spiritual discord in a location. Right? I have never attempted an exorcism. I have never met anybody who I felt needed one. Well, no, that's not true. I have one time. I met, not met. I know someone who I feel was definitely under influence of a malignant spirit, and I believe that she still is. But I haven't actually had contact with her in quite some time. So I threw holy water on her once, and maybe I shouldn't have done that. But oh, it wasn't a joke. I was serious. Only one person only one person ever. But I've done space clearings. I would never attempt to do one after smoking a joint. That's for damn sure. No, way too dippy. Gotta be serious. Gotta be able to be serious when you're doing it. Some people say that this stuff doesn't exist. I've seen, and so is Omar, and Omar was always very skeptical. But he's seen. We've had the doors here are very heavy, and we've had them open and close, and it wasn't just the settling of the house. It was a lift of the latch, because the way our doors are made, there's a latch. It was a lift of the latch and the latch, and the door opened and closed, and the latch closed back. It's happened here. And there's been other stuff. And I've had salt and pepper shakers fly off tables at me at restaurants. Such things. So, I don't know. Freaks some people out. Doesn't freak me out. I'm not scared of it. I really need to dust. It's dusty up here. I'm looking around the room, and I can see dust webs starting to look like 1313 Mockingbird Lane. My house is a little creepy. It is. We've decided that when we find animal skulls on the property, because, we're in the woods, and so animals die, and find little skulls and stuff, we're going to start putting them all over the house. Cover the house in skulls. I think it's pretty cool. And there already is one big skull on the corner of the house. Now we have another skull in the house. It's a small one. It's a possum. No, it's a coyote. It's a coyote. And there's a possum. I have a possum skull. We can put the possum skull on too. Then there'll be 3 skulls on the house. Yeah. Boston. There's Satan Con. Oh. The costumes were really well made. Like they were movie grade. Some of the pictures I saw, they were movie grade costumes. Yeah, they were good. Definitely at least theater. Yeah. You can do some Shakespeare, huh? Midsummer's Night Dream. You can do some Shakespeare. I've never been into doing Shakespeare. Shakespeare's never been my thing. People who are into Shakespeare are really into Shakespeare. I'm not. But I find the history interesting. Anyway, I'm done being dippy. Have a good basketball game. I wasn't even going to say anything. I don't think I'm going to watch next year. I think after this season, I'm done watching basketball. I think it tears my heart out. I think it tears my heart out.